Alright, so that was quite possibly one of my most favorite nights of wrestling ever. I don't know if it beats the Rumble that I went to earlier this year, but man, it's a close second to all the shows that I've been to this year. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Daniel Strong from QuickTime Reactions, and I just got back from eating dinner, but also checking out and being live at AEW WrestleDream. If you hear me cough, it's because I've been screaming my voice out for a good couple of hours, but we've got a lot of stuff to talk about from this show. And it was an absolutely amazing show, in my opinion. And it was so much fun. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. The first match on the tailgate, I should say, was the conglomeration, which was Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, Orange Cassidy, and Tomohiro Ishii. Excuse me. Taking on the Deathriders, which was Claudio, Pac, Garcia, and Yuta. Who, by the way, Yuta got all sorts of shit during the match. It was a really good 8-man tag, which then led to the heels getting the win. Then we had a pretty quick squash with Hook and Eddie Kingston versus the Frat House, which was Cole Carter and Griff Garrison. You pretty much know what happened. Kingston and Hook dog walked the Frat House, and Hook won the match with the Red Rum. Then we go to some women's tag action with Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale taking on Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. Again, really good matchup, really showcasing the women's tag scene that's, slowly but surely building, because they are going to be starting the tournament relatively soon for those tag titles. And in the end, the babyfaces won with Willow hitting the Dr. Bomb onto, I believe it was Harley. Yeah, not Harley Cameron. Penelope Ford. That's who I meant to say. And then the main event of the tailgate, which then bled into the main show, was FTR versus Jet Speed. Speedball Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight. This was awesome, and it's the first time I've ever seen, in my lifetime anyway, that a match from the pre-show bleeds onto the main show, which I had never seen before. And I thought that was really cool. As the opening pyro for the show is starting, the guys are still in the ring wrestling, and I just thought that was really cool. In the end, though, FTR is able to win the match, albeit very dirty. The first official match of the main card is Jamiehayter versus Thekla. Now, these two, I believe, are on a collision course for Blood and Guts later on in the year. So every one of their accomplices are banned from ringside. Thekla, of course, having the Triangle of Terror, and Hayter having Queen Aminata, and so forth. This was a really good match between the two of them. Lots of really good back and forth, lots of counterings of submissions. But in the end, though, Jamiehayter was able to hit Haterade twice onto Thekla, pinning her to win the match. And afterwards, Aminata came out and celebrated with her afterwards, with the Triangle of Madness looking mad at not only Thekla but also to Hayter and Aminata in the ring. And there, my AC goes off. Perfect. Next up is Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks, in which $500,000 are on the line because once again the Bucks are broke. I love the Bucks' entrance where it showed all of their expenses and how much money they actually have left, and is saying like transaction denied and all that stuff. That was absolutely brilliant. And also being able to witness Jurassic Express's entrance live, that was also really really cool as well. This in I was gonna say this match was the best one on the night, but I think the tag title match, was probably the best one on the night. But this was still really really good. Lots of great back and forth. Lots of love for both Luchasaurus and Jackperry in the building. That was very evident. But the Bucks just trying to get crafty, just trying to do anything in their power possible to try and win this match and get another $500,000. But it was not to be. Jurassic Express hit Extinction to win the match, and they get $500,000. And the Bucks are still going to be very, very broke for at least a little bit, anyway. But the Don Callis family comes out. Lance Archer, Josh Alexander, and Mark Davis. They are beating up Jurassic Express when Kenny Omega makes his return. It was so cool to see Omega come out. He gives the Bucks a little bit of a side eye, and he goes in and helps Jurassic Express fend off the Don Callis family, and shows that he does indeed trust Jackperry just a little bit more than what he used to in the past. So that was really nice to see. Next up, we have Tornado's trio as action as the Hurt Syndicate take on the Demand, and this was something that I did not know. This was for the number one contendership for the Trios Championships. And this was absolute chaos from the word go. Dudes just fighting everywhere. Leona's an absolute unit. And it just, the way that he moves in the ring, it absolutely blows my mind. As well as, Bishop Khan. They're both absolute maniacs, and I don't understand how they are able to wrestle the way that they do, because they are the personification of uncontrolled but controlled chaos. Absolutely insane. Towards the end of the match, of course, Hurt Syndicate come back guns blazing, which then they leave Ricochet alone in the ring. But Bishop Khan comes in and says, I'll take the hit. I'll take the hits, and gets hit with a Yakuza kick by MVP, step-up knee by Shelton, and a big spear by Lashley, and they get the pin. The Hurt Syndicate are the new number one contenders for the Trios Championships, and they will actually be facing the Ops on Dynamite this week for those Trios Championships, which I think is going to be a pretty good match. Moving on to the TNT title match. Kylefletcher versus Mark Briscoe. This was such a really good match to watch. Of course, this is their fifth match that they have had. Mark's 1-2, Fletcher's 1-2. So this is kind of, the decider. And again, just really good back and forth. Started out slow and started out with them basically countering every single thing that they had because they know each other so well. But towards the end, things ramped up really quick. Briscoe hit a J Driller on the ring apron, which was absolutely insane. Hit a Froggy Bow to the floor, and then one to on a standing Fletcher on the outside of the ring. At one point, Fletcher kicked out of a J Driller, which was absolutely insane. But to return the favor, Briscoe kicked out of a brainbuster by Fletcher. So the only way that Fletcher was able to put Briscoe away was his running enziguri in the corner, took his brainbuster up to the top rope, and boom, hit that brainbuster on the turnbuckle. That was a wrap. Kyle Fletcher remains your TNT champion. And then afterwards, the conglomeration come out to try and help Briscoe to his feet, and they help him walk to the back. We then move on to the Women's World Title. Timeless Toni Storm challenging Kris Statlander. Again, this was a really good matchup. Both ladies going back and forth throughout it all. And it was just really, really, really fun to watch. Towards the end, Statlander tried to go for the seatbelt again, but Toni was able to kick out. And after a long, I don't think it was a scissors hold, because the scissors hold was what I think is like the torso. This was more towards like the head, but I don't want to call it a triangle choke either. But Statlander was using her legs to choke out Toni, and then afterwards she hits Lariat to get the 3 count and retain her women's title. But she doesn't even have time to celebrate, because Mercedes Moné comes out and, brags about, her being the longest reigning TBS champion, and telling Statlander to get out of her ring. And so Kris leaves, and then, of course, we have Mercedes Moné's open challenge to any champ in the back that is willing to put their title up for a shot against Moné's TBS title. And who is to answer that challenge but the interim ROH Pure Women's Champion, or no, not Pure Women's Champion, it was the Women's TV Champion, Mina Shirakawa. And, when Mina was making her entrance, I was listening to her theme music, and I'm like, this theme is an absolute banger. And I have been basically listening to it nonstop on the way back to the hotel room, which was, it's absolutely insane. It has no right in being that good and going that hard, but it does. Again, this was a really, really good matchup. Just a lot of really, really good offense from both of these ladies. Shirakawa was able to escape the Monet Maker a couple times in the matchup. It looked like Mina had the match won, but Monet hit the Monet clip, but it was a rope break, which I had bought into that false finish, hook, line, and sinker. I thought, oh, she hit the money clip. It's gonna be over. But no, Shirakawa managed to grab onto the ropes, which is absolutely insane. I completely bought that. Towards the end of the match, they're trading roll-ups back and forth, and Monet is able to hit a roll-up, but pin Dirty, though, to win the match and not only retain her TBS title, but gain the interim ROH Women's TV title as well. So now she has 11 championships. But she shouldn't have made Statlander mad, because Statlander came back out to the ring and laid out Monet as she scampered to the back. And so it appears as though Monet is going to be coming back for that AEW Women's title relatively soonish. So we're going to see how that plays out. Up next is the match of the night, in my opinion, for the tag titles. Don Callis family, represented by Unified Champion Kazuchika Okada and the new IWGP Heavyweight Champion Konosuke Takeshita, taking on Bandito and Brody King. This match was so much fun and has so much implications as to what the future holds for not only Okada but also Takeshita as well. First off, I have to say Brody King is an absolute unit. The dude is just a beast. He can do pretty much anything and everything in the ring, and being paired up with Bandito is like, I don't want to call it a happy accident, but it was like, it's just one of those coincidences in wrestling where it's like you pair two of them up, but you don't think they were going to have that great of chemistry, but then they do, and it's just been awesome to see them as a tag team. Okada is so good. Like, even when he's not like wrestling to like, full Okada from like, way back in his New Japan days, like he's still churning out pretty good stuff. And Takeshita is no slouch either. Both teams trading hell for leather with each other. But then the big moment happens towards the tail end of the match when Okada goes for a Rainmaker on, I believe, Bandito, but instead he hits Takeshita. And this is after Takeshita had pulled down his knee pad, was going to go for his big bicycle knee strike when Okada tagged himself in to try and get the pin for himself. So it definitely seems like we're heading in the direction of Takeshita splitting away from the Don Callis family and him becoming a full-fledged babyface again, which I'm very, very excited for. We then move on to the AEW World Title match, Samoa Joe versus Hangman Adam Page. Anytime I get to watch Joe wrestle live, it's such a happy day for me, because Joe is one of those guys that made me think like, oh, I could potentially do this. I could be a wrestler. And I just love the way that he works inside of the ring. Everything looks so good, so crisp, so sleek. And it's just awesome to watch him wrestle. And of course, Hangman is Hangman. Of course, he's going to give you everything and then some. And these two had a very physical matchup. The story was of Page trying to, knock him down, because he is, a bigger, heavier guy. And it took 3 buckshot lariats to take Joe down, and he got the 3 off that 3rd buckshot. Afterwards, the rest of the ops came out to celebrate with both guys. And, everyone's raising each other's hand when all of a sudden Joe clotheslines Hangman Page and the ops start beating Page down. Joe clocks Page with the belt and gives him a muscle buster onto that championship. So it appears to me as though this Joe Hangman Page feud is far from done, and the ops have now turned heel. And this ought to be very, very interesting. Especially now, they're going to be fighting for their trios titles against the Hurt Syndicate on Wednesday, which, I think that match is going to be absolutely insanity. So, yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. But we close the book on wrestling to now bring you a special presentation of Noobs for Horror October, where, I talk about all things that are spooky and scary throughout the month of October. Welcome to my special edition episode, where we're going to be talking about Jon Moxley versus Darby Allin, the I Quit match, which was the main event tonight. Now, heading into this match, I knew there was going to be carnage. I knew that there was going to be blood. I knew that there was going to be some messed up shit in this match. What I was not expecting was actual legit attempted murder. So let's break it down. So we start out, Darby's trying to hit, anything and everything on Mox, but Mox is just, he's bigger, he's stronger, he's everything compared to Darby, and is just, molly-whopping him. Fucked up moment number one comes when Marina Shafir gets a handful of skewers. And, you're thinking, oh, this is probably going to be typical deathmatch spot where, all the skewers in the top of the head, no muss, no fuss about it. No. Moxley takes one of those skewers and he drives it into Darby's finger, more specifically under his fingernail. Now, I jacked up one of my fingernails at work, and it is still hurting very much. I can only imagine what that must feel like tomorrow, maybe even right now. Like, that was messed up. And there goes my AC net again. That was messed up for sure. Moxley's in full control. Darby once again gets, a couple of, shots here and there, but it's still mainly Moxley. And then we go to fucked up moment number two. Moxley takes Darby's belt off and just starts whipping him with it, which was insane. More back and forth until the deathriders show up outside of the ring and really cause a big numbers disadvantage towards Darby. And then we get fucked up moment number three, where Darby is picked up by Claudio. You think he's going to go through two tables set on the outside, but no. Claudio turns around and fully, like Bam Bam Bigelow, Spike Dudley-esque, hoys Darby out of the ring, and he bounces off of the announce table. That was absolutely insanity, and only Darby Allin could have taken that. Pac literally gets him out of the rubble, drags him all the way to those two tables that are set on the outside, and Moxley gives a Death Rider through those two tables, and that is still not enough for Darby to quit. Also, I should say, during the back and forth before, Darby gets put through those tables, Darby brought out lighter fluid and soaked Moxley in it, which was the reason why the Death Riders came out. Darby also had pepper spray, and he sprayed Yuta and Garcia in the face, so they were a non-factor throughout, the remainder of the match. And so, Death Rider's like, okay, what on earth do we have to do? And so Claudio and Pac get a couple of containers, or I should say jugs of water. They fill a tank with it. And so we move on to fucked up moment number 4. Moxley tries to drown Darby in that tank of water, which was absolutely insane. You heard the chants from the crowd saying, this is murder. And I forget the other one, but, it was absolutely insane. But yeah, that's not even, those stuff are the craziest thing in the match, but to actually something that's kind of wrestling related, the lights go out. And we're thinking, like, who on earth is going to come out? Lights come back up, and Sting is in the ring. He beats up the remaining Death Riders, and he hands the bat over to Darby, and he also takes out Marina Shafir. So now we are on an even playing field. Darby goes to wail Mox with the bat just over and over and over again, and then he takes that flag or he did take that flag, and he did choke Moxley early on in the match, and even also hanged him. But he beats him up with the bat. He gives him a scorpion death drop, and then he puts him in the death lock. And that was enough for Moxley to say, "I quit." And Darby Allin wins the I Quit match, which I think was the only prediction that I got wrong from my predictions video. Yeah, this was a literal snuff film come to life, and it was fun to watch it. Do I want to watch it like every single week? No, I don't. But this was definitely something different in wrestling. Just all of this messed up imagery and moments. Like again, you were watching a snuff film come to life. It was disgusting. It was gritty. It was very violent. But again, I should expect less from both of these guys. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for my review / breakdown of everything that happened at WrestleDream. This was such a fun show. I think this is probably up there for one of the best shows of the year, because the crowd was hot all the way through the night, and just really good matches throughout the card, especially the tag title match, the 500K match, the Tornadoes Trios match for its wild chaos, the AEW World title match as well as the TBS title and the women's title, all sorts of good stuff throughout this card, and it was such an honor and a pleasure to be there live for it. But yeah, that is pretty much it for my review of WrestleDream. Let me know down in the comments what you guys thought of the show. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I'm probably going to upload some entrances that I got during the night onto the channel, so those will be there for you guys. But I think after that, I'll probably just head to sleep. But until the next time, guys, be safe out there, and I will catch you guys next time.